welcome to today's episode. Today will be the first drive after the gearbox overhaul of the Case Magnum 7020 Pro. The tractor was put on its wheels and started up today. Earlier, as those who watched know, the tractor was started without wheels up on stands, the gearbox was checked and the pressure was measured. Now it's time to simply take the tractor for a drive out in the field. Warm it up, see how it shifts gears. And today we also started the harvest, so I'll show you what it looks like for us, how we harvest and what we use to harvest. So I invite you to watch. First test drive after installing the gearbox. I'm heading to the field because today we started harvesting. We'll see how the harvesting is going. At the same time, I'll have the chance to warm up the gearbox and the engine. Check if there are any leaks, make sure everything is working properly. So, see you in the field. I'm in the field right now, we're harvesting critical. We're transporting with just one vehicle at the moment because it's close to the farm here and it's easy to keep up, so we're only using one. And here one tractor is standing by as a backup. Here we have a little storage area. As you can see, this is a VAI trailer with an 18-ton load capacity, 72.40 Magnum. Right here we can see another impressive VIA trailer, weighing in at 12 tons, equipped with a 72.50 Magnum model. First day of harvesting, the harvest has begun. Lexion 660. We've had it on the farm for 7 seasons now. It has a total of 1,777 hours exactly. Total hours. At the moment, what have we done to it? What has been done? The chain on the feeder house was replaced because it was already stretched out. This year, the belt on the threshing mechanism was replaced. Other than that, everything is fine. It runs smoothly without any problems. We are actually leaving all of this straw right here, because we definitely need it for growing the potatoes later on. Now it's time for collection. The 7250 is driving with this small trailer only because the engine was recently rebuilt. And to let it break in a bit, it's running with this trailer so it doesn't have too much load. We're asking for triticale here. The moisture level is between 13.5 and 14%. And the measurement is 72.50. That's our biggest tractor. Now after this engine overhaul it had done, the pump was increased to 300 horsepower. Into the tank.
Are you saying no?
No, it just seems that way because before it fills up here, from above, it looks like there's not much, like you're missing, right?
They want to survive all this. This street, my crops, that's how it behaves.
You'll see. All right.
That is exactly what I used to call it. But, however, the truth is...
It's cold here.
Damn, he messed up with the camera sections.
It's probably the power supply.
Yeah, damn right. Those fuses burned out, damn it.
Is the header floating well?
That is awesome.
But I got all dusty. I increased the RPMs of that thing in the back a bit because we're moving slowly. They were tightened.
Something just showed up here, damn it.
What?
That you probably tightened it all the way at first, right?
Yeah, I didn't leave it since I was tightening it.
Yeah, sure thing. It is right here for you. At this very moment, we currently have
The 7020 Pro was successfully started up today, and it has basically been put back on its own wheels. We are taking it for a thorough test drive, slowly warming up the gearbox and checking to ensure that absolutely everything works as it should. That is exactly how it looks at this stage of the project. You might notice it ticks quite a bit right now, simply because the external air compressor isn't currently connected to the main system. So as we can see here, it ticks like that. Makes that kind of sound. Other than that, everything is working more or less fine. What was done here? The gearbox was worked on, the main clutch, a full gearbox inspection. The cap was removed, everything was repainted. As we can see here, all that's left for me is the tractor is already operational. Practically everything works. All I have left to do here is the hood, fenders, and roof. The worst part of the job is basically done. Because they're in terrible condition, there's a lot of gluing and patching to do. That's how it looks. Now I'll drive it around a bit before it warms up. Here I quickly modified the connectors, as you can see. It's a bit different originally, but I've already set it up like this here. The fourth section has been added here. There's a flow divider, so there will be 4 pairs free flow. Here, it still just needs to be mounted. This is the main connector here. Only for the feeder will this be a free flow, the one that's connected. The wool mat under the meadow isn't connected yet. That's how everything looks, and these fenders, and the roof. That will take a bit of work. A new exhaust has been purchased. It looks like something specific is carefully being inserted right into this spot here. We'll continue to operate for a short period of time. The tractor was carefully maneuvered so that each and every section of the field was covered thoroughly. The rods were made here. Today the light is still on. That's for the coolant level. The wire isn't connected yet. Exhaust temperature, coolant temperature. The fuel is still not connected. There's something wrong there. It needs to be checked. The charging system, the alternator was also repaired. The hydraulics were done, all the hydraulic cables were replaced. Here the cables are interchangeable. This cable here is for forward and reverse driving like this. Here we have the gear shift cable. Everything is nice, the lever moves smoothly. That's how it looks. Here, everything is a bit damaged, but I want to buy these parts somewhere used. So for now, everything stays as it is here. For now, we're not doing anything, only the floor mats will be put in, and this little piece on the side here. There are no doors. The battery was only tied in for the test drive. I still have some work to do here. This is still unscrewed here, see? The air conditioning thermostat will need to be replaced because it's damaged, and the air conditioning needs to be taken care of. And now driving looks like this. Straight ahead. We pull it towards ourselves and we have 18 gears engaged. We shift through them one by one. This device clearly demonstrates it for us right here on the digital visual display. It's moving. This compressor is making a slight ticking sound, and it seems like it makes a very distinct noise. That definitely doesn't sound like a particularly good noise coming from the engine, but we have to keep moving forward regardless. Now I am shifting the lever up into 13th gear. Steady now. Finally we are clicking into 14th gear as we pick up more speed. Starting off with the 19th position, we then move through the 16th, followed closely by the 17th and then the 18th, which brings us right up to where we are now. If we want to go in reverse, we shift all the way down, the tractor stops, we move into reverse and it goes backward. Here we have 2 circuits, 1 and 2, and a slow one. Everything moves smoothly because the cables have been replaced. Now, 3rd gear, 4th gear. Actually, now we have 3rd and 4th. In reverse, we have neutral, the parking lock. At the moment, I don't have the lock here because it was torn out and removed. There's a handbrake, which is important. Every tractor must have something like this. With the lock engaged, it doesn't squeak, so you simply can't drive off or move with the handbrake off. This is to remind everyone, because you can very quickly burn out the handbrake if there's no buzzer. Especially since we're not the only ones driving here. We also take it out again for harvest work. So everything has to be in order. The buzzer has to work. That's how it looks. Well, let's get it spinning. It spins nicely, smoothly, really well. It's maneuverable because it has narrow tires and a wide track width. That's because there are bumpers, and you can simply adjust on the bumpers to make the tractor more maneuverable. If I had wider tires, I would have to reduce the steering angle a bit so that the fenders wouldn't rub against the frame and the wheel. We engage the crawler gear reducer here, and here one by one these are the crawler gears. The specialized crawler gears are designed to skip every single other gear position on the lever, because in this specific case, only the odd or even gears will actually work, rather than both sets functioning at once. Yes, that is exactly right. And when you're looking at the 12th gear, it is actually functioning as the 6th gear. It has 6 crawler gears. The maximum speed for the crawler gears is 3.7 and 2.2. The absolute minimum travel speed on the specialized crawler gear system is approximately 0.8 at high revs, and actually we even have 0.3, 0.2. We only use the reducer sometimes, for example, when planting potatoes in tough conditions, when it's very wet, or the soil is being sifted again, or there are a lot of stones, then the reducer is really needed, because in a normal gear, in 1st gear, sometimes the tractor goes just a bit too fast. We keep it at 1800 RPM when working with the harvester. Sometimes it's just a bit too fast. I'm saying even in extreme cases, that's when we use it. Rarely, but sometimes that reducer really comes in handy. That's why I wanted this tractor to be used for transport. But simply because I inspected it quite thoroughly, it will be working with the harvester, and the one that was supposed to work with the harvester will just be renovated maybe in the winter, just visually, because it also needs some visual work, and the reducer needs to be installed there since it doesn't have one. This one already has a reducer, and besides, all the linkages work in that one, so the change will be that this one will go to the harvester and dig potatoes, and the 7210 will be used for transport. What else came up for me with this tractor? What else I need to do here? Maybe I'll turn it off, it'll be easier to hear. These connectors here are rotten. Here are these multi-pin connectors, you screw them in from underneath. Now I'll go over there and show you. I'll have to do something about these connectors here. In one of them, I just got rid of the sockets and connected everything with a terminal block. And that's a lot of work. I'd like to find those sockets somewhere. I saw them somewhere on the internet. And just replace them because sometimes the wires don't connect here. And here is one village. I'll step outside. I don't have stairs here, so now I have to climb out one step at a time. As you can see, because there will be stairs here. The stairs are still under renovation because there's a battery box here and the steps will be installed together. Here there are spots for 2 12-volt batteries. This wire will also be replaced here because it's the power supply for the reducer. There was a pipe here and it's damaged, so we just connected it like this to get it running. We'll make that pipe properly because it can't stay like this since the steps go here, and as you can see the cables are being replaced here. I also replaced these gear knobs here so there wouldn't be any play. That's how it looks. All the hydraulic lines here have been replaced. They're laid in protective sleeves in a braid so they don't get worn through anywhere. These 2 go to the oil cooler at the front. These 2 go to the fuel cooler. Here it returns, goes to the fuel cooler and to the tank. Here the main supply line goes, the supply pump. Everything for the air conditioning has also been nicely replaced here. New hoses have been crimped. The AC just needs to be charged now, because it hasn't been yet since I need to call my colleague for that. Everything is here, there are new hoses. That's how it looks. The entire ceiling was done. The front axle was done a year ago. Here, as for the front, I've already modified it because there were tapered bearings here. I've converted it here to spherical ball bearings. These are ball type bearings. Because, yes, if someone drove for a long time, for example with damaged bearings on the kingpins, obviously everything gets worn out. When there's no longer an axle between the bearings, replacing the bearings really becomes a constant issue. They keep failing all the time. That's how it is, which is why this part was modified, because it was extremely worn out here. Well, it's holding up. We've already used it for a while, since we've had this tractor for 3 years. 3 or 4, probably 3 seasons. It drove really well, everything was fine. It was bought here in the country. It's been in the country since new. It's a 7020 PRO. It worked on a large Polish farm. Now I'll tell you how much we paid for it. I paid 32,000 zlotys for this tractor. It ran for 2 years. There were no problems except the main clutch failed. That was because it was being run on gas batteries that weren't charged, so it kept slipping gears and the clutch would loosen every time. I suspect that's why the safety lock popped out of the basket. And the second issue here was that this engine was used with front-wheel drive, and the front drive clutch was extremely worn out. And that also affected the differential. Had to be disassembled and repaired. Now it's been completely restored, as you can see. Everything here has been painted, refreshed. Now I'll drive it a bit, warm it up. I'll just see how it looks, to check if there are any oil leaks anywhere. Here I see there's already a first leak. That's because I don't have this pin here. I need to replace the locking pin. That's exactly where it's leaking. And here, the 7250 engine was installed and started up 2 days ago. It's running with this small header. We're mowing very low. We're basically mowing everything at ground level, pulling the swaths, because here with no-till farming we want to shred the straw as much as possible. In this case, the straw will be collected from part of the field. What else do we have here? In this Magnum, all the belts have been replaced. An OptiBelt belt from a better brand. There's also Continental. The old wheel has now been successfully replaced with a new one. Furthermore, the front crankshaft seal replacement has also been fully completed and verified. The entire installation has been secured with an additional sleeve so that it doesn't get worn through. It's already got a few years on it. The cables have been replaced and wrapped. These are the brake lines here. Brake pump. A new exhaust has been installed. Additionally, some mesh covers are going to be installed here as well. Here, over this whole part. That's how it looks. I guess we need to drive it around a bit here. Overall, the tractor leaked some oil because we started it up and the oil filter wasn't tightened, so everything got flooded here. It's a bit greasy. And there was a problem where the tractor was braking after starting up. The brakes were locked and they also unscrewed the lines. We had a bit of a spill there too, but for now, everything seems to be fine. So now I'll drive it around a bit. And here are those fittings I mentioned. I need to replace them because there's often a problem here. That's right. What I've noticed is that the window gasket is often damaged in these tractors. Water gets in. Here, the whole installation is on this wall from the inside. Water pours in here, down this wall onto the floor, moisture collects here, and those aluminum fittings rot there, and then that's where all the problems start. One wiring harness goes here. This harness is for the engine, and this one is for the gearbox. There's also another harness deeper in there, as we can see. That's for the lift, for the EHR. A free return has also been added here. If someone wants to install a free return in this tractor, you put a T-connector here. Here is the return from the oil cooler to the filter, and here is the T-connector, and this is where the free return must be. Here, in these tractors, we can't make a free return just anywhere in the gearbox housing, because the oil that returns still needs to be used for lubricating the gearbox. Otherwise, there will be lubrication problems, the warning light will come on. I consider this a drawback because, as you know, there is some pressure here, about 3 to 4 bar on the return, since that's the gearbox lubrication pressure. So, it won't be as low as possible. At the quick couplers, it can even be around 5 bar. I still have some work to do on it. But after the entire process is completely finished, it will be perfectly alright for the most part. In the places where there was water for the crops, it looks pretty good, as we can see here. But there are certain specific places where it practically burned out, where the soil is significantly worse and sandy, and that will probably really lower our overall average yield. But that is just exactly how the weather was for us this season, when it simply didn't rain at all when it was most needed. Enter 7.5 meters. The powerful engine driving this vehicle is running smooth. Caterpillar 400 horsepower. What I really don't like about this combine is that the engine is a Caterpillar. We had a problem like this about 2 years ago where it wouldn't start the diesel particulate filter regeneration, and it turned out when we called the service that if there was a problem with the engine, you'd have to call the Caterpillar service, and as you know, they're probably not that available. Obviously during harvest, time is crucial. But somehow we managed to solve it because we kept clicking manually, regenerate, regenerate, regenerate. It kept beeping and beeping. But in the end it worked, it kicked in and the filter regenerated. If it hadn't worked, we probably would have been stuck for a few days because there isn't a Caterpillar service center anywhere nearby. And the class service just helped us because they told us that when it comes to the engine, they don't handle that. That's how it was back then. I don't know how it is now. Maybe it's changed already and maybe they do it now. I don't know. We had that situation, but somehow we managed to solve it. And besides that, there was no problem here. Here is our second class. Before that, we had a class Medion, a Medion 310. Great machine. It ran without any problems for about 7 years with us. That combine was replaced. That's why the Lexion, because the only argument in favor of it was that the Medion was a bit too small for us. Because as we all know, the bigger the combine, the better. You have to harvest quickly when it's dry. You really shouldn't try to save money on this. It's a new machine. We've already paid it off. We don't plan to replace it for now, so it'll keep running with us for a while. If something needs to be done here and there, we'll take care of it. Look at how incredibly dry and parched it is right around here. I'll step down since there are no steps here. Look how dry it is. Everything is like ash. If you plow it now, it'll just turn to ash. Seriously, look at this. You can see here that this spot is even more burnt out. Here we have a set ready just in case the other one doesn't make it in time. Now we're close to the farm from this field. It's 172.40 meters. Here we have the front 3-point hitch, TUS. This year a weight will be added here. Because with this trailer, here we also have wheels filled with water. The front ones, but here we still need to add ballast to the front. Because with this trailer, it's hard to drive. This is a Waya BLN 18. It's on a drawbar hitch and puts pressure here on the tractor. In the field it's great because there's traction, but when you drive further on asphalt at higher speeds, you need to have the front weighted down because otherwise the tractor just gets tossed around. Here, I've actually been using it now for the second season. The tires are 710 by 50 R 26.5. That's what it looks like. It fits here on it. We load 20 tons of potatoes onto this trailer. With these tires, it goes in any conditions. Rear axle steering. Actually, on our farm, we don't have any trailer wheels narrower than 550. On that Ray model over there, I think we currently have about 600 or maybe 650. But on these ones here, they are actually 710. We specifically chose to pay quite a bit extra for these high quality tires. As for the task of transporting all these potatoes, this particular trailer works absolutely great. It is not high-sided at all, which makes it very easy and nice to unload manually, and you can basically drive it anywhere you need to go. That is exactly how it looks in person. Overall, we could really use 2 more trailers like this, and then our problem would be solved. But if we were buying now, we would definitely go for a triple axle trailer with even greater load capacity, so that you could load 24 tons onto it when you're driving farther. Just drive slower with the load, but carry more at once. The 7240 was also serviced this year. It was split apart and resealed. The tractor has actually been with us for the shortest time. It got new rear tires. Here as well, there's 710/70 R38 Alliance Agristar 2. That's how it looks. The air conditioning is working. The cables have been replaced. The gears shift without any problems. Leaks have been fixed. Some of the hydraulic hoses have also been replaced. At the front, it has 665 by 28. We're missing the front fenders for it. The mirrors have been modified, raised up to the roof just like in the Pro version. Actually, we've done that on all of them now. All that's left is to install the LED lighting, just like on the others, at the front and at the back. And I think this tractor will serve us for many more years. The hydraulics have been modified. Yes, well, now I modify them like this on everyone. The lift arms have been removed because here it only works for transport. Possibly it could be used with a disc harrow, but without navigation it probably won't be unless there's a specific need. That's how it looks. The trailer has its own hydraulics and there's a special joystick for tipping. If we have less oil in the hydraulic system from the gearbox in the tractor and we need enough to lift, there's an additional hydraulic system. In our case, it's unnecessary, because here the Magnum has 170 to 180 liters from the gearbox, so that's more than enough. The trailer was bought, you could say, spontaneously. We were looking for a used trailer. We wanted to buy a used one. We couldn't find anything, and when there was a used one, the price was such that there wasn't much difference compared to a new one. So we went with a new one, because when it comes to potatoes, transport is very important. Because if transport fails, all the work comes to a halt, and there's no harvest. In general, we have 4 sets transporting when we dig. 2 are digging, 4 are transporting. We have some fields that are a bit farther away.